In 2047, a colony of scientists, farmers, soldiers, priests, artists, and AI, all looking for a new life, landed on Mars. The mission was simple: to survive and establish a
What happened?
To survive and establish.
We are so far beyond keeping it together.
To survive and establish.
Then you can come at me right now.
To survive. Marsfall: Survival on the Red Planet. Marsfall is a science fiction podcast about the first colonists on Mars. Listen for free wherever you find your favorite podcasts.
What do they say? The road to hell is paved with good intentions. This could be another one of those situations. That decision by Canada Goose to no longer use coyote fur because, it was, there were a lot of people that felt that it was cruel to animals to use the real coyote fur trim on their signature parkas, could actually end up costing who? Us? Yes. That is according to a group representing Ontario fur trappers. And here to talk about the unintended consequences is Robin Horvath, General Manager of the Ontario Fur Managers Federation. Welcome to the show. Good to have you on, Robin.
Good morning, Kelly.
So what exactly is the Ontario Fur Managers Federation? What do they do? What are you guys all about?
Well, we represent the trappers of Ontario. We have a contract. We issue licenses for trappers across Ontario for the Ministry of Natural Resources and Forestry. We collect all the harvest data every year. A trapper at the end of the season has to report all of the fur that he's caught. It's tracked. It's heavily regulated. And we also work with the Minister's Office and policy branch on regulations that affect trappers and fur bearers.
I think a lot of us are shocked to find out that they're still fur trappers. I mean, we think about it as when I think of a fur trapper, I think about a corde de bois, and I think about my history books in school. So how many fur trappers exist right now, and how many are registered with you?
We have 6,000, just over 6,000 members that are voluntary members of the Ontario Fur Managers Federation. Then there's just over 8,000 trappers in Ontario total, with Indigenous and non-Indigenous trappers.
That's an impressive number. And I think a lot of people will be shocked to find out that, coyotes, although the Canada Goose was using them, and it was controversial for a lot of people, they were using coyote pelt to ring their hoods with, that we need to call these coyotes, right? It's important as far as the ecology and the health of the environment up there. Can you talk to that?
Yes, you're absolutely correct, Kelly. Sustainability, management of the fur bearer populations, whether it's coyote, raccoon, be it beaver, what it may, these animals need to be managed and kept in balance for their own health and, of course, for the health and safety of people. And right in Toronto, Toronto's known as the raccoon capital of the world. With the population there now, and you have coyotes that are causing issues right in Toronto. And I know your listeners would be surprised to hear that there's trapping, nuisance trapping that goes on in Toronto every day also. It's not just in the rural northern parts of Ontario that it is occurring.
So this move by Canada Goose, obviously they're listening to their market and they're saying, okay, we understand that fur is falling out of favor. We'll take that out of the mix. You still have to call the coyote population that used to be used on these collars. If they don't have a market, the fur trappers from Canada Goose to sell these anymore, who pays for the job they're doing?
Well, if the trappers aren't doing it and being able to sell the pelt for garments, hats, mitts, etc., the taxpayer is ultimately going to end up paying for it. But I just like one thing that you just said in your last statement, Kelly. I don't think it's so much the consumer that is saying we don't want fur trim on our coats. What has happened is the anti-groups, PETA for one, when Canada Goose went on the open market, the stock market, to raise money to build factories around the world, PETA themselves bought large amounts of shares in the company, and they're at the board table now making demands that they do not use fur on the coats and that. They've protested their retail stores, the factories. They've actually protested the CEO's home and caused a lot of havoc for them. So I don't think it's fair to say it's consumers don't want it any longer. I think it's bullying tactics and pressure from minority groups that have their own opinion or agenda.
It might be some from column A and some from column B. There are a new generation of kind of woke consumers, younger people that don't want to wear fur. I don't wear real fur. However, I see the need to cull the population. Yeah. I understand that numbers have to be maintained up there. So there still is an appetite for fur. Who's buying fur? Because I understand that you're shipping a bunch overseas.
Yeah, right now there is a market in North America for some of the fur, but the bulk of the fur sales is going to the Asian countries, to Russia, to Italy, European Union, some of those countries, which is interesting because those countries have tried to ban fur for years, but there is a big market overseas for people that want the fur.
If we don't cull the coyote population and keep it under control, what happens to the balance? Like where do things get thrown first? Give us a little idea.
Well, the first thing that's going to happen, Kelly, is the average coyote female every year has 5 to 7 pups. It has been recorded up to 17 pups in one litter. If we don't have trapping as we have it today for managing the natural resource, there's going to be a void there for a little while, and the amount of coyote population that will increase in a 3 to 5 year span. We already have nuisance issues in our big cities. Toronto has it. Sudbury has it. If you look around North America, coyotes are overpopulated, and it'll just increase. But the other thing is if they're not kept in balance, and they are allowed to overpopulate, nature, which is not humane, it's very cruel, will eventually step in, and these animals will die of disease and starvation.
We're talking mange?
Yeah, mange is one of the diseases or the results of overpopulation for sure.
Before nature steps in, when the coyote population is large and exploding, how do the herbivores fare, like the deer and the moose?
Well, this is the other thing. Coyotes are predators. Coyotes, a large coyote can take a deer down by itself, but they will prey on ungulates such as deer and beaver and other predatory prey species. And it really puts everything out of balance, and that's what can lead to the starvation, because they will eat themselves out of house and home. And I was to East York 4 years ago in August to a town hall meeting, and individuals there, the one lady that spoke, she had her cat taken the first week off her front porch by a coyote. And they had pictures the second week. The coyote jumped almost a 5-foot fence and ate the dog in the backyard. So it's not just wildlife and prey species. Pets in urban centers and that are also on their menu.
All right. And who is, you said that there's Indigenous people that are also in the fur trade business still up north. How important is it for these people to, have a livelihood, which involves the culling of the coyote numbers?
Well, it's important to the Indigenous people. Especially in the far reaches, in the wintertime, it's what they do. Some of the fur bearers that they trap, they eat, such as beaver, muskrat, is part of their food source. And they make mitts and gloves and hats that they sell in the summertime at their powwows and different trade events. And a lot of that money is what helps in their subsistence, for their family to have extra money to be able to do things or support themselves.
I want to say thanks so much, Robin, to you for joining us. And, this is another situation where a headline looks like it's very easy to comprehend what's going on, but there's more to the story. As you start to pull at threads, you realize that there's other stories interwoven into this bigger headline, and there are unintended consequences of Canada Goose getting rid of that fur trim on their parkas.
Absolutely, Kelly, and we thank you for having us on today. And really, our only goal is to put some of the facts out there and the other side of the story, as you said, of the unforeseen consequences of some of these decisions. It might sound like we're doing something that's going to help the ecosystem, but in a lot of times it actually becomes detrimental to the same ecosystem that we think we've done something great for. So really appreciate the time today and the opportunity just to get the facts and part of the rest of the story out there to your listeners.
Well, thank you so much, Robin, for your time. Have yourself a good afternoon.
You also. Thank you.
For years, I've heard conspiracy theories about the Denver airport. Underground tunnels, secret societies, and even creatures hidden in plain sight. I never believed any of it till I started getting voice messages from strangers claiming to be entrapped in a labyrinth miles below the airport. I'm their only connection to the outside world, and what I've heard is terrifying. I'll share what I've pieced together, and maybe you can help me figure this out.
Listen to Escaping Denver, free on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts.
Something is out there.
Please, help me help them.